Hi, my name is Shayna Sharber, and this is my interpersonal communications project. Next slide. What is interpersonal communication? According to Stewart, interpersonal communication is the type or kind of communication that happens when the people involved talk and listen in ways that maximize the present of the personal. Next slide. My overarching goal is to implement the skills I have learned into my life by being a level 2 communicator by Peterson and a level 1 listener by Burley Allen. Next slide. The levels of communication by Peterson are level 1 is getting the facts, level 2 goes deeper than words and moves people towards a more satisfying relationship. The levels of listening according to Burley Allen are level 3 is listening in spurts, level 2 is hearing but not really listening, and level 1 is empathetic listening. Next slide. Enlarging the conversation involves identified needs and intentional resourcing. My identified needs are interrupting, being preoccupied, speaking in abstracts, and being flat-brained during arguments. Intentional resourcing is not to speak when the talker is speaking, stay on topic, think before speaking, reduce distractions, and use the talker-listener card, also known as the TLC. Next slide. Behavioral blend is a mix of personality traits to create a character of a person. Next slide. Carbonell uses the DISC model. D is directing, driving, and demanding. I is inspiring, influence, and inducing. S is steady, stable, and shy. And C is cautious, competent, and calculating. Next slide. According to the Uniquely You assessment, my behavioral blend that is expected of me on graph 1 is D. But what is me on graph 2 is DSC. D is dominant, direct, demanding, and determined. This behavioral blend has influenced my conversation both positively and negatively. Positive, I am confident, a leader, and active. Negatively, I'm forward, bossy, cocky, angry, and serious. Next slide. DSC is direct, submissive, and competent. This behavioral blend has influenced my conversation by also positively and negatively. Positively, I am sweet and sensitive, active, help others, organize, and deal with conflict. Negatively, I am aggressive and lack enthusiasm. Next slide. I have multiple barriers that affect my listening and communication skills. I am a faker that leaves me listening at a level of 2 or 3. I interrupt others. In Burley Allen's book, she gives a story of a boy that also has a problem of interrupting others. When I read this story, I could not help but replace the name with mine. And it says, Shayna had a habit of interrupting others while talking. She thought she would forget what she wanted to say if she did not interrupt. She often felt anxious if she was not able to say what was on her mind. I also speak in abstracts. And speaking in abstracts is when a person does not include enough information in what they are saying. This usually confuses the person they are speaking to. Burley Allen says, often we speak in abstracts. We know what we are saying, but we are describing it to the other person abstractly. I also am flat-brained during arguments. Peterson makes a good point about when two people are in an argument. How can two people try to get a point across when the other person is concerned with their own viewpoint? Peterson says that people are concerned with their point, that they wait for the other person to finish so they can straighten them out. My solutions to these barriers overall is to be a level 1 listener. I need to reduce distractions, not speak when the talker is speaking, stay on topic, Think before speaking by using the questions like what, when, where, how, who, and why, and use the TLC. Next slide. I have noise pollution that affects me internal and external. Internal, I am preoccupied, have personal problems, stress, and fatigue. External, there are interruptions, outside activity, and the talker speaking monotone. My solution to noise pollution is to reduce distractions and move from a level 3 listening to a level 2 to a level 1. Next slide. In my plan of action to become a level 2 communicator, according to Peterson, and a level 1 listener, according to Burley Allen, I will need to be an effective communicator by reducing distraction, listening to what the talker has to say, think before I speak, and if I have to, use the TLC.